Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com, here to talk all things Monday Night Raw. My usual partner in crime, John Clark, not here tonight. He is at Raw tonight in Cleveland. Our boots on the ground, as always. I'm sure he'll tell us all about his live experience next week. I'm here to talk about the show, though. So before I do, just want to remind you all this show, like everything we do here, is available on all of our platforms: SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. You know where to find us. Please leave a like and subscribe. We appreciate it. Definitely a noteworthy episode of Raw tonight. There's one big story to get into, but I guess to accurately and best talk about it, I have to kind of start at the beginning and work all the way there. We'll jump around a little bit though, because the show was kind of bookended by two very connected things. So we'll start off with that, because I'm sure that's what everybody wants to talk about. That's the big story coming out of the night. So show opens, as previously announced, triple threat tag title match: RK Bro versus Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens versus the champions, Alpha Academy, Feather Show National Champion. St. John is missing. John is not missing. He is in Cleveland at Raw tonight. I'm sure he's having a good time. He was definitely looking forward to seeing a certain Hall of Famer who did not show up tonight. Again, we'll talk all about that in a minute. But the show opened with a promo from Owens and Rollins. They've been on a roll lately. They defeated RK Bro. They defeated Alpha Academy. And that's to set the stage for this tag title match. Now, heading this one, I did not know who would win. I felt like it could go any number of ways. WrestleMania is only a few weeks away now. So the winner of this one definitely, you kind of got the sense, would, in a way, kind of influence the road to WrestleMania. It's like they've been kind of hyping it up, like whoever wins this match will, quote unquote, go on to WrestleMania, probably defend the title there. Now, to point out, it's 26 days away. Hard to believe, folks. 26 days to WrestleMania here, the two-night spectacle, the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time, if in case you forgot. But no, we had this tag title match here tonight. So with that in mind, I did not know who would win. If anything, watching this match to open the show with RK Bro does make me think about how, what we do here on this show. We come together and we talk about kind of the flavor of the day. So for weeks and weeks and weeks, we really thought that RK Bro would split up and have this epic match for WrestleMania. That's not going to happen. RK Bro wound up winning the titles tonight, so that now they are two-time Raw Tag Team Champions. Neshkar's definitely enthusiastic about that. She's glad RK Bro got the belts. I was definitely surprised, but I will definitely agree that it was a great opening match here. And also, Gavin saying, hope I'm doing well. Gavin, hope you're doing well as well. Thanks for checking in. But yes, Brian, that's exactly what I'm saying. I think most people assumed RK Bro would split at some point, as even maybe as early as the Rumble. And then some reports came out maybe around Elimination Chamber that they might not be splitting up. And they have not split up at all. They've really kind of pivoted away from any even tease of that happening. So instead, RK Bro still going strong here. They pick up the win in a very, very good match. This match got a lot of time. Opening promo ran a little long. We had pretty much every team talk a little bit. That went a little long. And then the match itself went good chunk of the first hour, which that was nice. It's always good to kind of give the tag division its due. I mean, I say on NXT, it's kind of my catchphrase pretty much in all these shows. When you focus on the wrestling, WWE is still pretty darn good. So this match was very good. I liked it a lot. Steven saying it was a great triple threat tag team match here. As for the result, Brian saying he wanted Biddle versus Orton, but he's happy they got the belts. I mean, yeah, I tweeted about during the show, the fact they won tonight, the fact we have RK Bro as champions again, I would be pretty surprised if they split before July at this point, because you have to imagine they're going to want that match for a big show, and presumably that'll be SummerSlam. So I guess at this point I could see some split happening at Money in the Bank, maybe, and then the feud heading to SummerSlam. I think that would make sense. It's just weird because that's still a ways away now. So it's almost like we've kind of gone in a circle. Well, by that point, we'll have gone in a circle where like they had kind of teased a split, then they kind of made up. Stephen Chambers is a good point here. They do have Hell in a Cell in June. If they want to build that up as a big show, perfectly a fitting stage for a grudge match there if they want to do that. But to me, Hell in a Cell is not a big show. To me, like if they're going to do RK Bro splitting, it would be WrestleMania. And now, yeah, that's exactly what I mean. If they're going to do the split, if they're going to do the feud, it's got to be on a big show. I'm thinking that's going to be SummerSlam. It is just interesting that how are they going to draw it out and keep it interesting? Because it's March now. That is 6 months away. That's a long time, folks. And especially with Raw, 3 hours each week. It's hard to keep anything interesting, really. But DJ chiming in with a prediction. He predicts a short title reign, and he thinks we still are gonna get Orton versus Riddle. I think he means WrestleMania, and saying Alpha Academy gets him back at Mania, and Orton RKO's Riddle after the match. I don't know. I could see that. I mean, anything can happen. That's as you always say. You never know with WWE. You never know what's going to happen. I'm sticking with my guns here. I'm going to say, they seem really confident with what they have right now. Orton after the match, guys, he dropped the F word. 2 of them. He said he's having fun, and Riddle's his friend. That's a big deal. The power of friendship is a wonderful thing. So, the fact that he's having so much fun does lead me to believe that, they actually might keep rolling with it. So, again, if they can keep it interesting, I think that's fine. I think it's working. People really seem to be liking it. There are some weeks I don't really like it, namely because of the jokes Riddle's telling or the specific things they're doing, excuse me. But overall, I'd be okay with that. It's just, I guess I'm a little concerned that they might struggle to really keep it interesting like that. But as the next Shield is like, hey, bro, Nesha, I know you're not alone with that. They are very, very popular. I would say they've been one of the best parts of Raw really since they became a team here. So, but again, that's just saying she loves like a bro here. Gavin's saying the power of friendship can often create the most heartbreaking turns here. In this case, it'll be a heel turn likely for Orton. And I've seen this comparison many times here. DJ saying that we could see like a festival of friendship thing like we saw years ago of Owens and Jericho. Yeah, I think this could kind of rival that in terms of a friendship just imploding. Also, I'll point out Chad Gable, A, doing great stuff on Raw. B, I guess great wrestling, great character work. They added the shoosh to his theme song now. So it's kind of cool to see him really kind of continue to evolve here. But he and Orton definitely stole the headlines here at the end of the match. This didn't even win the match. Orton, Gable did a moonsault and Orton caught him midair. It was one of the most impressive RKOs I've ever seen. That definitely seemed to be the talk of the town, really. Everyone was talking about it. If you haven't seen it yet, go look it up. Orton, RKO, and Gable here in this match. You're not going to regret it. Very, very fun spot there. But in the end, Rollins stomped. I believe he stomped. I want to say Gable or Otis, and then Riddle stole the pin after the match. So this is where things picked up here. So after the match, RKO celebrates. It's a good time. But Rollins and Owens sold this like they lost the Super Bowl. They sold this very, very well. Very, very good storytelling here, where they just look so dejected and crushed because they look at it like, okay, we lost this match. This was our golden ticket to WrestleMania. What do we do now? So Owens literally sat there just looking so upset, just crushed, not knowing what to do. Rollins reacted a little differently as people do with any setback. Rollins later in the show, he was very angry. He was very mad, and it felt like he was going to do something for a second. I mean, I thought we might be going toward an Owens and Rollins split on that front. We're talking about RK-Bro here, but I do think we could be seeing another friendship implode here with Rollins and Owens. I do think that's coming at some point, and Nesha says she agrees here, says that's coming as well. But we can pretty clearly see that that's not going to happen right now, based on all logical indicators. So I want to get this out of the way because it set the stage for later. Owens was backstage. As I said, Rollins was angry. It seemed like he was going to do something, kind of lash out because he was so upset. And then Owens was kind of sad. He was like, okay, what am I going to do? It's WrestleMania. And then later in the show, in an interview, and he said, okay, I have a plan. I have this vision for WrestleMania. It's going to change my WrestleMania future. I'm going to let you all know later in the show. So then it comes out. It's the last not even 10 minutes. And this was rumors started to get out and people were kind of speculating. So at least that's one thing for me where I was like, all right, saw it coming because, people speculate, rumors and reports get out there. So there you go. So Owens comes out and he says, all right, I have this grand plan for WrestleMania. I want to have the most stupendous. That is my new least favorite word, by the way. The most stupendous WrestleMania of all time. Gonna have the most stupendous KO show of all time at WrestleMania in Texas. Now, as we've seen in several weeks, Owens has been running down Texas, running down Texan legends. He's had some little bit of beef with Booker T on Twitter, and in this promo he was talking about Shawn Michaels. They said in honor of Bret Hart, you can never have Shawn Michaels on the show, stuff like that. I think he mentioned JBL as well. going through all this, talking about these legends, and he's increasingly shifted gears and really clearly started talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was saying that he wants to call out a guy that's a shell of a man and who hasn't wrestled in 19 years or whatever. His knees are broken down. He's talking about his injuries. Very, 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 very clear. He was talking about Stone Cold, and that, lo and behold, he threw down the challenge and said that he wants to invite Stone Cold Steve Austin to be on the KO show at WrestleMania 38 on April 2nd / April 3rd. Now, this is a thing where reports have been going on for quite a while now. Weeks ago, I think it was Fightful Select first reported that WWE was trying to get Stone Cold to come back for WrestleMania 38 in some capacity, seemingly in a wrestling capacity. There have been differing reports, conflicting reports, exactly how that would work. In terms of, would it be a match? Would it be some kind of showdown, like a confrontation? Not a match, but like just a stunner. Obviously, it has been 19 years. Austin had to retire for a reason, so like nobody really knew what was going on. And so Owens threw down the challenge, and this end of the show, you kind of had to figure something was coming. And as Brian's saying here, I honestly thought Austin was coming out and the house would have gone bonkers. Yeah. John and I talked about this last week. You had to think Steve Austin was going to come out. This was, as National pointed out, WrestleMania is 26 days away, folks. 26 days away. Now, granted, could very easily come out next week. Fine. This isn't the thing you really need to build up all that much. It's Steve Austin. It's Kevin Owens. They don't need a lot of time to tell the story, so that's totally fine. But for like a show closing angle that does feel pretty flat in a way, and the idea they're hyping up this big KO show, like that's some big selling factor. I know it's Texas, okay? I know it's Stone Cold. I know Steve Austin's great. He's a Hall of Famer. I was a huge fan of his when I was a kid. No denying his legacy. No denying he's awesome. Like that's great. Good for him. And I'm sure the roof is going to blow off the place at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. He's the Texas rattlesnake, literally. Like you can see that a mile away, but like this isn't that big of a deal. I'm not trying to diminish it, but like National thinks she doesn't think we're getting a match here. Yeah, like I don't think so. Apparently, reports have stated that WWE wants a match, but the fact they laid this out as the KO show, seemingly, best case at this point, it might be like The Rock and Eric Rowan back in like 2016, I think that was, when The Rock beat him in like 16 seconds or maybe even less than that, just like in this case, a quick stunner, and that's it. And yeah, that's the next thing. Stone Cold will do a stunner and get a big pop, and that'll be it. Fine. Like, there are worse things to put on a WrestleMania. It's Stone Cold. He's a legend, deserves it. Steven saying, imagine the heat Owens will get in Texas. I mean, he's been bashing Texas. I'm sure he'll cut a very anti-Texas promo here at WrestleMania itself to get some big heat there. DJ saying that Austin himself reported that no one had talked to him about the plans of wrestling at the show. Not sure exactly where that's from, but there does seem to be a lot of confusion about exactly what's happening here in terms of what's believable, what's actually going on. I don't know. I'm passing along things as reliable outlets report them. I just don't know. But Gavin saying he thinks we get a swerve. Also come out, says he has a friend. And then you could have, all the old wrestlers from Texas, JBL, Shawn Michaels, Booker T, who even knows, and they all do the moves and they all have beers. Fine. That's fine. Again, it doesn't really excite me. Like, I'm not trying to look down on it so much. Just like, it's not this big thing if he doesn't really have a match. Like it's the KO show. Okay, he's come back before. He had like the if y'all remember the Austin 316 day early on in the pandemic era when it was really awkward. He was with Byron Saxton and like it was one of those really weird empty arena shows. He's done a number of things over the years. Like it's not that big of a deal. He was in WrestleMania a couple times. I can remember a couple times here and there over the years. Like it's not this big thing. Friends with Nando chipping in. What's up, Nando? Hope you're doing well today. Stevenson, we get 80,000 people saying what at the same time. That sounds like a headache waiting to happen. But of course, at the end of the day, it's going to be a big pop. All right, I fully understand that, and really that's what at least I would imagine Vince McMahon and just the I guess he is the decision maker in this case. What he would kind of want, just whatever gets that pop, whatever gets the most response, whether that's heel or face. Really, that's what you're going for in the day. Some response is the goal there. Like that's really, I guess, the whole point, right? To get those big pops. So, that's fine for me. I thought this was a little underwhelming. It's like, okay, Kevin Owens is great. Steve Austin is great. If Steve Austin does come back, cool. Okay. Again, he's a legend. I'm not trying to be redundant here, but yeah. But the DJ again, another idea saying that the referencing here, Heath Slater from Raw 1000. We have a bunch of legends in this case from Texas. Do the finishers. Austin pins him. Maybe if it is a match, it's not going to be anything like, it's not going to be a match. It's going to be just a very like smoke and mirrors thing. Nothing major, nothing crazy. But Nando, I definitely agree with you. He's saying, I don't want Stone Cold to come out of retirement. He's the only attitude era guy not to lose his aura of a bad ace. Very nice, Nando. Yeah, I think far too often you see legends coming back and diminishing their legacy or diminishing their attraction, I guess, in terms of like when they do come back, it doesn't feel like a big deal. There are any number of people like that. But Steven saying doesn't see a match. It has been 19 years, right? Like that's a long time. And like crazy things have happened, of course. But at the end of the day, I don't know if I see that happening. But something I didn't see happening at night. Let's kind of pivot and then move on here because I don't want to beat the same drum here. Like he's been retired for a reason, as Nash was pointing out. That's all there really is to it. So if it comes back, probably not gonna be a match. Let's move on. Something I did not see happening tonight was a very, very weird Edge promo. So of course, last week Edge found out that he would be facing AJ Styles at WrestleMania. Now, I myself, a lot of us, I imagine, were excited for this match. Edge, veteran, Hall of Famer, a guy that came back, from retirement, has had this great run, doing a whole thing. I've enjoyed it a lot. Big fan of Edge. He was one of my guys coming up. Like him a lot. So it's been cool to see him being back. It's cool to see him, and he won the Rumble. He may have been WrestleMania last year, doing great stuff. And then he has he also wanted to have a stupendous WrestleMania, a phenomenal WrestleMania. So he laid out a challenge, and I was hoping it would be AJ Styles. We found out last week that it was, and then Edge beat him down for no reason. We didn't really know why, but critically he turned heel. And tonight, of course, that they had advertised ahead of time that Edge would explain his actions. So the lights go down, and Edge's, after like a pretty long delay, Edge's, the beginning of his theme song plays and stops, and Edge walks out. The lights are black, and it's like this black light, weird thing. It's kind of like The Undertaker. If you watch AEW, it's kind of like the House of Black too. Like I don't know what they were going for, and the lighting was so weird. He looked like he was animated by WWE 2K22. Like he did not look. It did not look like real life. Like it was weird, man. I don't know. So walk to the ring. At first, I got like 2010 heel Batista vibes. I thought there'd be a spotlight. That didn't happen. The black light, all black. He's wearing a black suit, kind of like ironically Seth Rollins when they're feuding in the fall. Don't know what that was about. And then we had a weird promo. Then he basically said that, again, as he noted last week, that he wanted the Bulldog AJ Styles, so he wanted to bring out the Bulldog AJ Styles. And I should point out, before the show, WWE announced that Styles, quote-unquote, suffered a contusion from the attack last week, so he was not on the show tonight. DJ pointed out that Edge looked like he's from the Blue Man Group. Yeah, it was just like the visual was kind of weird. The promo was kind of weird. He said he's an omnipotent. He said that he feels like he's in control of everything. He said he's in love with himself. Kind of weird thing. He said he feels like in control of the entire industry. And there's a joke about AEW doing, getting momentum there. Something that, like, nobody controls the entire industry, but let's not focus on that. It was just weird, man. He seemed like he implied he was like a god in a way. I'm like, where did this come from? Like, he was a babyface last week. He attacked AJ Styles, and now suddenly he's like, he thinks he's a god? Like, what? That doesn't make sense at all. I don't know. Nando's saying heel Edge is always better than face Edge, and Brian's saying he likes the new heel Edge. I like heel Edge. I don't, this, at least right off the bat, didn't quite click for me. Again, just that drastic shift. We go from, at least at the start of the segment last week, pretty normal Edge. 1 week later, all black, weird black lighting entrance and the black suit. And then again, saying he's omnipotent, a very like 180 shift. Steven saying he's not taking it either. There you go. See, a little bit of a mixed response here, but I don't know. I think I saw this kind of going around as well on Twitter. They're overcomplicating this, right? They've got AJ Styles, they've got Edge. One Hall of Fame already, one pretty much a lock to get there when he decides to hang it up. Styles, one of the very best wrestlers in the world. Edge, everybody loves Edge, fan favorite legend. You can just tell that story. You can just say, hey, we've got two people that the fans love, and they're both legends, and we've never seen this match before, and they both, I mean, maybe, again, it kind of sounds lame when you lay it out, but they both respect each other, and they're just going to have a match in the spirit of competition, in the spirit of having a phenomenal WrestleMania. Cool, great, that works, that's fine. Maybe it's not like the most quote-unquote heated thing, if you will, but this, like, again, it's just, if they wanted to do this, I guess, just draw it out a little more. They could have had, in this case, I mean, hindsight's 2020, I think they could have had Styles dance for the challenge first night, then maybe Edge starts being a little heelish, and then he maybe, 1 or 2 weeks being a little heelish, and then boom, then the turn comes, then he explains it. This, though, it was very, very, very abrupt. And Richard's saying he hit my kill, so complete 360. I agree. To me, you got to draw it out. You got to kind of build it up a little bit, slowly turn rather than a complete flip. I agree. I definitely agree with that. And Richard says it was forced here. Yeah. But exactly. I mean, we're all get flack for bringing up AEW on this show, but Brian saying they could have had the match that Daniel Bryan and Mox had. If you watched AEW Revolution yesterday, Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley, two former WWE stars, had a match. But Danielson's technically a heel, but people still love Bryan Danielson. Come on, man. So he's not really a heel. He's just being cocky, right? I guess it's a matter of it's shades of gray. So they had a match. Now the guy was a heel, right? Danielson was trying to get Moxley to kind of join forces with them. I'm not going to get too far in the weeds. I'm sure we're here to talk about Raw. I didn't get to do a post show about AEW. I wrote a feature about it. So go check that out if you want to hear about my thoughts on the AEW Revolution last night. It was an awesome show. I enjoyed it very, very much. But taking one example from that, yes, a match, two guys people like a lot. Just have a match and focus on that. Don't get lost with like making someone a heel. I don't need to do that. Like that, they've already gotten in their own way, and now, at least compared to last week, I mean, I should say they already did it last week. I was already by the end of the show less excited than I already was for Edge and Styles here than I was going in. Now, 1 week later, I've lost even more interest. And that's a shame. It could be and should be a great match. And it's going to be a great match, but the story is not looking so good right now. I think that's a shame. So, unfortunately, WWE tends to kind of get in their own way. Robert, Dave Fleece, and I talked about all the time last year on the SmackDown show. They overcomplicated the Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair feud so much that like they could have just told a much simpler story, a much more interesting story. And they just like kind of took all these unnecessary twists and turns just to try and make it quote unquote more interesting. And I don't think it worked out. And I kind of worry that's where we're going here. I feel like next week maybe Styles will come back, okay, and kind of attack Edge, maybe. I don't know. But I don't know. I'm not feeling as good about this one. I think it's gonna be a great match. Again, don't get me wrong. I think both guys are great, but the story not doing it for me so far. I should point out, as DJ is reminding us here, Big Van Vader, the Mastodon, got inducted into the Hall of Fame today. Bleacher Report, Chris Mueller, Bleacher Report, first broke the news this morning. I do agree that he deserves the induction. He was a trend-setting powerhouse, a monster heel, the likes of which hadn't really been seen before. It's easy to look at nowadays with like you see, or I should say, since he first came to prominence, you've seen a number of big guys kind of, break the mold, I guess. But back in his prime, like he was unmatched. He was an absolute legend. Rest in peace, the late great Vader there. But definitely thinks he deserves to be inducted. I think it's overdue, if anything. I've seen a lot of people thinking that he should get inducted by Mick Foley, if you remember, or if any history buffs out there. Of course, Mick Foley and Vader had a famous match where Mick Foley got his ear ripped off by getting kind of tangled up in the ropes there. So it'd be kind of fitting to have Foley induct him. They had a famous feud. Definitely, Brian, I agree. I think he should have been inducted when he was still alive, and unfortunately, he passed away a couple years ago. So it is a posthumous induction. So I think Mick Foley would be my choice. If not, I'm not really sure. Admittedly, I don't know his career all that extensively. I know about the Mick Foley feud. But otherwise, I'm not sure who might be the most fitting induction. Steven saying it could be Stan Hansen because Vader inducted him, maybe. But Brian's saying it's a long time coming for Vader because he deserves it here. So, yeah, definitely congratulations to him, and that's a very good thing. So he joins The Undertaker as the only inductee so far. So now we know it will not just be a one-man class, as some people, myself included, admittedly, had kind of thought would be fitting. Deidre saying it could also be his family. Of course, yeah, it could be his family. His son, I don't know what his son's name is, but I think his son's a wrestler too. I'm blanking on the name, but that would make a lot of sense. Usually with a lot of these, I'm not saying I'm probably butchering this, posthumous inductions. It could be his son / his family to kind of give them that moment and that moment to appreciate and to celebrate his life and legacy there. So. Also worth pointing out, not just saying Vader got Ron Simmons over as the first African American world champion. So definitely, at least in WCW history, so definitely worth pointing out there. Absolutely, very, very. He's a legend and he's an all-time great. So well deserved. And again, if it were up to me, I would probably say Mick Foley for the inductor in that case. But Steven's saying it's a miracle. They have another team in the women's tag division: Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Oh boy, yeah. What was it? I think it was on the SmackDown show when Sasha Banks and Naomi first reunited and abruptly challenged for the tag titles indirectly, and then they announced the match out of the blue. The joke was that it is a miracle they doubled the size of the women's tag division here just by adding one more team, which is a very, very concerning. I don't know, I guess, sign of the times. And then now they've tripled it. They've tripled the depth of the women's tag team division here. Now, we saw the news of, they announced early in the show during they running down the matches that it would be Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan versus the champions Carmella and Queen Zelina. Now, folks, you know it's bad when the champions get the jobber entrance. And by that, I mean they did not get an actual entrance. Liv Morgan did. Rhea Ripley did. And then we cut to one of many, many, many video packages, and we pan back to ringside, and the champion's already in the ring. So that kind of telegraphed, all right, probably not a good night for the champions here. And I myself, I tweeted right when the show started, right when the match started, man, I hope this team isn't a long-term thing, because Rhea Ripley should be a title contender for a singles title, not the tag titles, because obviously they made it abundantly clear the tag titles don't really matter based on how they've been booked. I'm not saying that as a knock on the titles themselves, but I'm saying that as just based on the way they've been presented so far. So I thought that was like, I don't think they should be a long-term thing. And then they won. They beat the champions. And then very late in the match, I felt like Corey Graves was like, oh yeah, if Ripley and Morgan win, they'll get added to that WrestleMania Tag Team title match. So I was like, all right, I don't want them to win, but here we go. And they won because Carmella was at ringside chatting up her fiance, I believe, Corey Graves. Obviously, I know they've been a couple for a while, but then yes, they kept referencing the wedding on commentary. So her fiance chatting him up and holding his hand at ringside, lovey-dovey, great, cute, gotta love. And the distraction helped. I should say that distraction took Queen Zelina's eye off the ball, and she lost the match. So Morgan and Ripley got added to the tag title match. DJ seems very, very happy. He's saying, hardcore beauty, what a team. Liv Morgan, hashtag Liv Mania is happening finally. Well, I'm glad you're excited. I'm not really feeling it. I'm just like, again, I just don't think this is the best thing for Rhea Ripley. But I guess right now, in a way, I don't know what else she'll be doing on WrestleMania. Because we know that it's going to be Bianca and Becky Lynch. We'll talk about her in a minute. Otherwise, I don't know what she would do. Steven saying pre-show, LOL. I mean, I don't know. On a 2-night WrestleMania, it's a lot easier to put the title matches on the main card and then have kind of meaningless other matches on the kickoff. So I don't know about that. It actually might be on the main show. Brian saying Rhea needs something, and this is something. it's definitely something. So, you know, I don't think they're going to win. Again, and I should say it's fine having this be the way that they both get on the card. I don't think they should win. I think after WrestleMania, Reyes should definitely become a title contender again. So Michael with the interesting prediction here, saying that he thinks they're going to add the Bella Twins to this match. So there'll be a surprise team that's added. I could see that, but also I wonder if they might kind of announce that ahead of time to try and drive up those ticket sales, because I think they're kind of struggling to sell at least some of the tickets in a way. So I could see that, but I might more expect that they would announce that ahead of time, just kind of to generate a little more buzz. And in that case, why not? Have the Bella Twins win. They are a legendary tag team before the tag titles were a thing. So I think that would make a lot of sense, at least as a short-term thing. Not a good look for Carmella and Queen Zelina here, like to lose like that to get the job for entrance. Not the best, not a good look there. But just looking through my notes here. Oh boy, yeah, we had something else to dig to as well. But yeah, this is fine. Here, oh DJ, you set up perfectly. I was just gonna segue and you knocked it right out of the park here. It's DJ asking, whose love affair is gonna last longer? Tamina, do I see it? Tamina Tozawa wedding? My gosh, please, no, don't manifest that, DJ. Get that out of here. Like, do not put that out in the universe. All right, like that is okay. Not the last thing I want to see. That is near the top of the list of things I just don't want to see on Raw right now. So, folks, we start the show with the three-way promo for the tag title match. We had a very, very, very good tag title match to open the show. Again, it went most of the first hour. It was like, hey, this is a pretty darn good start to the show. Like, Raw, pretty good start here. We're grooving, we're rocking and rolling. Like, I'm liking it. Okay, maybe there's hope. And then we go from the tag title match, this great match, new champions, feeling pretty good. It's exciting. You wonder what's going to happen to KO. And then we segue into a video package for the 24/7 title program, Love Affair, Love Triangle, Love Square. Is that a thing? A Love Square? I don't know. We've got two love stories going on at the same time. You've got Tamina and Akira Tozawa, and of course Dana Brooke and Reggie. He who is still kind of somewhat in the friend zone, on the periphery of the friend zone. You've got Brian saying that was very cringeworthy, the 24/7 stuff. My gosh, people, like, oh, this is just. First off, I had a problem with the fact you went from the tag title match, which is wonderful, to this. Then I think Dana and Reggie made their entrances, and then we pan backstage, and Akira wants to give or get a good luck kiss from Tamina, and she like shoves him against the garage door thing backstage and kisses him roughly. I'm just not feeling it. And hey, I am not someone who's inherently down on love stories. Okay, Nesha, you can back me up here on the NXT show. I loved Index very, very, very much. I loved that to pieces. I loved that whole story. Even the mere tease that it could be ending or they could be breaking up at some point soon hurts me deeply. I love that. I loved Mandy Rose and Otis when that was a thing during the pandemic era. This is not that. Either of those. This is I would far, far, far cry away from that. All right. So, oh man, DJ, yes, we all love Index. Index is great. Cannot be topped. This was not as in this wasn't a love story. I don't know what even to call it. It's yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if it's not a love story, Nando, what is it? Because I don't know what to call it. We had Dana retain the title against Tamina. On the plus side, cool. They're actually having matches for a 24/7 title. I don't remember many times where we've had a 24/7 title match between two women, so that's cool. You know, yeah, I guess. I'm struggling to find positives here. DJ saying it's the relationship from hell. I don't know if I go that far, right? I was not a fan of it at all. The relationship from hell. That's a little strong, my friend. It was not good content. I'll leave it at that. I don't think it was good content. The writing was not there. The acting was not there, or the performance wasn't there. They're doing their best. They're doing their best to make it interesting. But it's not doing it for me, my friends. It's just, oh, Yeah, it's rough. And again, you go from tag title match, awesome, great match, to this. It's like, wow, peak, valley, up and down. This is Raw 2022 these days. No, this was not very good. not Nando's thing is WWE's hookup culture. That's kind of interesting, right? To kind of like, if they actually explored that a little bit of like, hey, we all work together. We're always on the road and literally like traveling pretty much every day. I think I've heard as high as like 300 days a year. I don't think that's still the case with like coming out of the pandemic era, but it's still very, very high. They're traveling all the time. At the very least, like more often than not, most days of the week. So that's actually kind of interesting to kind of like explore that idea. Kind of like it. At least it makes it like a little more substantive, you know? It makes it a little more interesting. But at the end of the day, Dana retained. It's fine. I didn't care for it. I didn't think it was particularly good. There are worse things to have on a show. I don't know if this was worse, but it wasn't. It also wasn't good. As announced over the weekend, Jerry the King Lawler, famous Raw commentator, was set to return to the show. I don't know if they. I'm not sure if they announced it as part of the segment, but they announced his return, and they also announced the Miz's homecoming party alongside Logan Paul. I think both guys are from Cleveland. I know the Miz is. I think Logan Paul also said he is. All on the whole, over the years, they have made it very, very, very clear that Jerry Lawler is from Memphis. That is his domain. And yet, they hyped it up also here that this was Jerry the King Lawler's homecoming. Apparently, he kind of grew up in Cleveland, or at least in Ohio. So they framed it as a homecoming for him. The Miz, John Clark was tweeting out during the show. He was saying that the Miz was getting some good pops before the show. And then we all know how that will happen there. I'll break that down in a minute. Logan Paul, people did not seem to care for him, even in his hometown. Didn't think the promo was great here. He was saying, like, in Cleveland, we stand up and kick butt or kick ass or something. I don't know. I don't think it was that good. Folks, again, I said on the SmackDown show, I think I said it last week here as well, like most of the WrestleMania card here, it's not really doing for me at this point. And that's a rough place to be. We're 26 days away to WrestleMania, and I'm with like most of these matches not doing it for me. So it's gonna be a time over the next couple of weeks, and then covering the 2-night marathon of WrestleMania combined with potentially an NXT Stand Deliver on Saturday as well. Gonna be a long one, but that's a problem for future me. Yes, DJ. It's weird, right? It's Jerry the King Lawler. His whole thing is from Memphis. Then to turn around and have this celebration of him, a homecoming for him being in Cleveland, and he was talking about he grew up in Ohio, and he named all these cities. I'm not from Ohio, so like for all I know, he could have been making up these places. I don't know. He's talking about that, and then somehow that turned into him saying, "Hey, we should have WrestleMania in Cleveland." And The Miz, famously of Cleveland fame, from Cleveland homeboy, said, "Oh, I love Cleveland, but no way." And as DJ saying, winners leave Cleveland. LeBron James famously left Cleveland. He said, "I left Cleveland. I don't even live here anymore." And then, of course, I'm going to add this in myself. CM Punk famously no-showed Raw in Cleveland in 2014. That had been a big story point in his rivalry with MJF over on the AEW side of things. We'll find a way to work that in there. But of course, winners leave Cleveland. He also pointed out Odell Beckham. Of course, he was not going to reference CM Punk. He did reference Odell Beckham, though. Nando's saying this segment was like corn pudding. When you see it at the dinner table, you ask yourself, quote, "Why would anyone put effort in making this?" Nando, your comments are so wonderful. I appreciate you so much. That is exactly how I felt about this segment. I begged people on Twitter, please, somebody tell me what the point was, because we had Jerry Lawler saying, "Hey, let's have WrestleMania in Cleveland," and The Miz said, "Oh, winners leave Cleveland," and then so basically he turned heel on Cleveland. The Miz is already a heel, so I don't know what the point of that was, and then he left. And then he left. He said, "Winners leave Cleveland," and he left. I was like, that was 5 minutes of the show. You could have easily had, I don't know, maybe not another match, maybe one of the matches longer, or spread it out here and there. I don't know. This was a very pointless segment. This was like a like a house show segment on a live TV show. I was like, what is the point of this? Like, I did not understand it. It did not do anything for me. I don't know. I like the Miz. I've said this before. I think he's very, very talented. I think if anybody, he can make this work in terms of the storyline of Logan Paul. You know what was weird? We had this segment with the Miz and Logan Paul, and then the Miz's bash in Cleveland. They nothing from the Mysterios. The Miz referenced Rey Mysterio. He referenced the feud there. He referenced this match with WrestleMania. The Mysterios, nowhere to be found. Nope, nothing. That was kind of weird. Brian saying that WWE takes one step forward and two steps back. WWE always does this. Hard to disagree, Brian. Hard to disagree. I try not to be too negative here, but this, yeah, I don't know. Again, they had a great tag title match, and then they had. I'm going out of order here, but I'm just talking kind of the general beats of the show here. Tag title match, 24/7 cluster, if you will, and whatever this was, I don't know. Nando, you're getting more love from DJ here saying Nando's comments brighten the day when we're watching crappy segments of wrestling. Yeah, they're not all crappy. Again, I'm going to keep hammering it home. Great tag title match. And another match was very, very good. We had Braun Breaker's Raw debut. NXT champion Braun Breaker made his debut tonight. Now, earlier today, Mike Johnson of PW Insider reported the Breaker was backstage ahead of the show, making it pretty clear that he will at least be appearing on the show somehow. And then I believe it was Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select shortly before the show reported that Breaker would be wrestling or was expected to wrestle. He did. He teamed with Tommaso Ciampa against the Dirty Dogs. Now, of course, over on the NXT side of things, Breaker will be defending the title against Ciampa and Dolph Ziggler tomorrow on NXT, the special Roadblock episode. This feud is going on for a couple weeks now. Dolph, a Raw superstar, he's ventured down or over to NXT 2.0. Again, we talked about this before. It makes so much sense. NXT and Raw are on the same channel. It makes so much sense to cross-promote, to have the crossovers, to have this interaction and collaboration. And again, the only bittersweet thing is that they didn't do this more when it was the Black and Gold era. The wonderful Black and Gold era, when you had your Adam Coles, they did sometimes, like in 2019, fine. But I wish we got more of this. Crossover storylines, cross-promotion, like a sustained thing like this over several weeks. And granted, they did it for Survivor Series again in 2019, but for this is pretty much just, really just to promote NXT, and also kind of like, it's like a backdoor pilot of sorts, or maybe like a tryout, I guess, in a way, for Braun Breaker. And Brian said Braun looked good. He's going to be a star. I thought he looked much better in the match than they did in the promo. They introduced him in an interview early in the show, and he didn't. I don't know. Some of the promo, he seemed a little uncomfortable, or obviously, I'm sure he was nervous. I'd be terrified. I'd be sweating buckets if I was someone like making my Raw debut, and like that's a big high pressure situation to be in. You're on live. I know it's not live on NXT, but it's Raw. It's in theory the flagship show. So that's a big leap, right? To go from A to B there. So no, like I'm sure he may have been nervous, so maybe that was a factor. Maybe I'm projecting. Maybe I'm projecting my own anxiety onto that, but. Something didn't seem quite right. He seemed a little, I don't want to say phony, a little forced, a little canned. Like I said this last week about the Dominic Mysterio promo. This felt like it was right out of W2K, where he was like, slapping the title and he looked generic even. Now I don't know. It didn't quite feel like it was as good as it could have been. That's how I'll say about it. But Steven saying Braun does look nervous. Again, I thought he looked nervous in the promo. The match, he looked perfectly natural. He looked very, very good. He's been, this was as good as his efforts on NXT lately. He did a kip up. He showcased his strength. He was looking good. He pinned Dolph Ziggler, a former World Heavyweight Champion, mind you. So good for him. Very, very good to see. We've had Ciampa. I think Ciampa's gotten a pin, admittedly, a roll-up, I think, in 2 weeks. Maybe he pinned Ziggler last week, but the first week was a roll-up. I don't remember. It all blurs together, folks. But Ciampa won his, I think, 2 matches on Raw, and then Breaker got the one here. So it's good to see they're actually pushing the NXT guys. Like that's a good thing because like again, not trying not to go there, but guys like Adam Cole, Malachi Black, Andrade over in AEW now doing great things. All those guys could be doing great things on Raw or SmackDown. And I mean, Adam Cole left of his own accord, but they released a lot of other guys that they could have had so much more with. And obviously that's a matter of hindsight being 2020. But yeah, this is good. Right? This is definitely a step in the right direction. You've got Braun Breaker, very, very clearly a guy they're very, very, very high on. They had the backstage interview, they had a video package, and a special entrance for him. Not special entrance. He got a full entrance, and then he won. So they're definitely very, very confident about this guy's abilities. Folks, this guy debuted in September. Literally first match on NXT TV in September. Think of that. It's March now. He won a match on Raw. They frame this very, very much like Karrion Kross's, or now Killer Kross's Raw debut, where it said "Welcome to Raw." This is his first night on Raw. So I don't know if this is a one-off. I don't know if this is like just a one-off cameo, special guest star appearance to hype Roadblock tomorrow. This kind of felt like it might be the start of more, or at the very, very least, I feel like it's not going to be long before we actually see him on Raw full time. So that, if anything, this was a good first outing for him. So I think that was a good thing for sure. And again, maybe other than the promo, I would say it was a successful first night. So good for him, good for Braun Breaker. And Steve, I think it was Steven said earlier that he's probably going to retain tomorrow. Yeah, Braun Breaker. Although again, this makes me think he could be moving up at some point. Now, Karrion Kross did retain the title for a little while when he first got called up, and he did double duty here. So, but DJ, good segue here. So I was a huge fan of Karrion Kross. I thought he had and still has megastar potential, great look, great presence, just great. I think he has the it factor. I know some people may disagree. I thought he could easily be like a top star on Raw or SmackDown, and they just completely whiffed. They gave him the stupid helmet and the stupid gear. They took away. I mean, I know Scarlett she later said that she was hurt or recovering from an injury, but yeah, I think even after she got cleared, didn't use her, so they took away Scarlett. I think they were such a great match together, and that's one reason why he has such a great presentation on NXT. Took that away. So as good as this first outing for Breaker was, I am very skeptical, at the very least, of WWE's ability to take a top NXT star, the champion in this case, like Braun Breaker, and actually push him and put him in a position to succeed. And I should say that promo, it seemed like the writing itself, like presumably they're not letting Braun Breaker ad-lib here. So he's given these lines. And as I said before about Ricochet and any number of other guys not known for the promo abilities, if you're given not great material in a promo, you're not gonna cut a good promo. Like that's just how it is. So my issue was more like this felt like the elite from NXT creative. Supposedly there's a lot of overlap. I don't know, but I do think someone, it's a different creative process of some sort, seemingly. So some seemed off. So I am concerned about Breaker finding success here. Now, through no fault of his own, through this pattern of the way they've handled NXT stars, with Karrion Kross being a very clear sign of concern. So hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully he's successful, because I think he could be a great star for them, and I hope he is. But that's definitely one we'll have to wait and see on what happens next. But we'll see what happens tomorrow when he competes on NXT, defending the NXT title. So looking forward to that one as well there. I do want to, DJ, I see your comment about Omos. I will get there, but I do want to mention a bigger story. No offense to Omos. But before the show, Becky Lynch, the Raw Women's Champion, tweeted, I think it was Instagram. It was an image of her in the hospital bed, saying that not only did Bianca Belair whip her with her hair last week, they had a match in Allentown, which is a stone's throw for me, at a live show yesterday on Sunday. And so she said that Belair fractured her voice box. Now, I'm usually not skeptical. Sorry, I'm usually not a skeptic. Excuse me. But you cover this business long enough, you're like, is it a work? Is this a storyline thing? Like, what is this? Like, honestly, my gut instinct, I saw that, I'm like, is she reposting an image from the hospital when she had her baby? Like, that'd be kind of weird. I don't know. Granted, that may sound very out there, and it does now that I say it aloud. But I honestly thought it was part of a storyline. I was like, okay, maybe they just didn't want to have her on the show tonight to sell the attack from last week, or to do this supposed injury at the live show. But then Mike Johnson, PW Insider, reported during the show that no, Lynch is hurt. She legitimately hurt her voice box, her larynx, and she's expected to be out for 2 weeks. So supposedly, she'll be able to return in 2 weeks' time. That would mean that she's good to go for WrestleMania, as Nash pointed out earlier. 26 days, so plenty of time left for WrestleMania. If we stick to that timeline, won't be a problem. Belair had a brief promo tonight saying, she has one rule: don't touch my hair. All right, cool. There's only so much you can really do. And if you're between two people, when one person isn't there on any given night, so it's fine. It kept the story going. Best wishes to Becky Lynch. Again, that was my gut instinct. It's not a work, reportedly. She actually is hurt, so hopefully she has a speedy recovery. Because she's a champion, and as we've been talking about for weeks now, I think Bianca Belair needs that win at WrestleMania. And if Becky can't go, I think that'd be a big, I'll say it, a pretty big loss to the WrestleMania card, which again, for me, admittedly, is already not quite up to par. So hopefully her recovery will not be a problem. It'll all go according to plan, and there you go. So DJ asking about almost Commander Aziz. Now, they did kind of set something up here where we had almost pretty decisively squashed Apollo Crews. Hey, everybody, do you remember when Apollo Crews was getting a fairly big push on SmackDown? He got the new gimmick, and we riffed on that for weeks and weeks about the horrible accent and how it was kind of racist, kind of like borderline, at least iffy, at least a little iffy. And then he got drafted to Raw, and it's been nothing. I think he got drafted, and just that's been like, I think he's had like one or two. I think he answered Damon Priest's challenge at one point, and that's really been it. Otherwise, he's been on Main Event a lot. So he lost almost here. Also, they had a really weird almost interview. It looked like the cameraman was lying on the ground, and they were like angling it all the way up at him, and it just looked so weird. I know it was meant to emphasize almost his height. Fine. It just kind of it seemed a little goofy to me. But they played another almost video package. They did that last week as well. So it feels like they want to push almost. They just don't know how. It feels like, hey, we've got this massive mountain of a man. We just don't know what we want to do with him. Like we got to do something with him. We don't know what. If anything, I think almost to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I don't really see Omos versus Aziz for a WrestleMania match, especially when WrestleMania is a couple weeks away. Aziz never wrestles. Like he never does anything other than like being Cruz's muscle. They've had like a couple tag team matches. Aziz wrestled back during that push on SmackDown. That felt like forever ago. It was only last year, but it is very much a what have you done for me lately business. I do not see that as a WrestleMania match. I know WrestleMania is 2 nights, and you can kind of get away with some not lackluster, like less WrestleMania level matches. I understand that. That's a stretch to go like, okay, let's put almost and Aziz on the card. Best case for that, it's on the kickoff. That's not a match for me, at least. They put on the main card. And DJ's pointed out in his comment there, yeah, that would probably, if anything, be a kickoff match. Yeah, I don't know. This was not the best. I feel bad for Cruz. I think Cruz is a great wrestler. He's very, very talented. He deserves better. DJ pointed out, many people forget, Commander Aziz was Baba Tunde on Raw Underground. He was dominating and just beating people up and taking their money over on Raw Underground way back when. Man, that feels like forever ago. And Steven calling back to that as well. So no, I'm not saying he's never wrestled. He has experience, of course. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, again, this is 2022. He hasn't really wrestled lately, so I would be surprised. Nando, could we see Veer come at WrestleMania? Well, what better time to come than WrestleMania? WrestleMania would perhaps be the greatest time to come. Unfortunately, Veer did not come tonight, and DJ, as DJ points out, no even reminder that Veer is coming. Nothing. So we were left wondering whether or not Veer will come. I hope he will. I feel bad for the guy. He's waiting to come for so long now. It's got to be painful at this point. It's just so built up there. He must be having such a bad time. Like, that's got to be rough. Like, the poor man, he just wants to come, everybody. Like, just let the man come. That, like, just give a dog a bone, right? Just let him, right? He every week he comes a little early after comes a little early on main event. He never quite lasts all the way to Raw. Just a little premature there. It's very unfortunate. One of these days he'll be able to, have that endurance to really get all the way through. Man, I wish we had a Blue Chew sponsorship, man. Like, oh, it's just they rate themselves here. As I've said before, man, the Veer stuff, I know it's juvenile, I know it's silly. I'm having fun with it though. And on a show like Raw, yet you cling to the few things that are actually fun, and you ride as long as you possibly can. You ride them out, you cling to them, you make the most that you can, because one of these weeks, either he's going to come and it'll be over, or it'll just go away and it won't be a thing anymore, and then I'll be sad. Nando, I appreciate you. I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good tonight, folks. Like, Raw, like, it wasn't great. It was pretty fun. I don't know. Like, some of it was bad, like pretty objectively bad. I feel bad for you though, man. Just the guy's been waiting to come for so long. Like, he's probably about to explode. Like, honestly, it's been weeks now. Like, I think it's been months. The man, poor man, is just like probably so desperate now. Like, one of these days. But hey, if you want to see Veer come, watch main event. DJ asking if we saw Veer come tonight. I think he did. He did come on main event. I think John, or at least other people in attendance, tweeted that he was on main event tonight. So he did come, just not in the way that it counts, I guess. Boy, it's fun, man. I'm having fun with it. Maybe a little. Hey, if Veer wins the 24/7 title, Steven, he'll be coming all day long, and that would just be a gold mine of more jokes. I'm here for it. Give it to me, please. I could see it though. Brian saying Veer could come after WrestleMania. There's a part of it that, like, just I'm not trying to contradict myself. Just keep it going as long as you possibly can. Like, just keep every week. Veer is coming. Veer is coming. Veer is coming, and then just keep adding to that mythos, and like adding to it, putting little hints and playful little jabs in there, little wordplay, and just have him never come. That'll be like the funniest thing. Just have him never come. And kind of like Elias. Elias literally said Elias is dead, and we have not seen him since last August. So Elias, for all intents and purposes, as a character, is dead and buried, dead and gone. That's it. So in a way, like, Veer never coming would be like an all-time rib, I guess, of just like funny stories. Like, for weeks and weeks, people were like, it turned this like the sensation only for him to never come. There's something about that would be pretty funny, at least for me. But we'll see. I could see after WrestleMania. Hey, why not? Why not both? Why not Veer versus Elias? Have Veer come and face Zombie Elias or something? Sure. Crazy things happen, man. I don't know. Otherwise, not a whole lot to dig into here. We talked about Lawler, we talked about Breaker, we talked about Omos, Edge, Rhea Ripley. Otherwise, the only thing we really haven't talked about is, as of last week, the new United States champion Finn Balor was in action. Boy, it is good to see Finn Balor with gold around his waist. The man is a champion. He's the prince. He deserves so much better than he has been getting. So to have him at least have a title now is a very good thing. So I was happy to see that. That he beat Priest last week, as I've said many a time here. Priest gimmick is not working. It's not doing, or at least is the split personality thing was not working. Priest turned heel last week. Balor had a match with Austin Theory tonight. Now, over on the SmackDown side of things, Austin Theory stepped up and shot his shot, and he'll be facing Pat McAfee WrestleMania. So that's happening. But this is a very good thing. Brian saying Balor is being salvaged finally. I'm hopeful. WWE has made me a skeptic, but I'm hopeful. At least he has a title. At least he's on Raw. At least he won this by DQ. That is good. But so I thought this was a fine match. We had DJ saying Austin Theory sucked tonight. That's a little harsh, but I thought it was fine. And it's Finn Balor. It's hard to have a match when you're a bad match when you're in there with Finn Balor. Thought it was pretty good, or again at least fine. And then Damian Priest came up, interfered, DQ win for Balor. I thought this made sense. Theory has a match WrestleMania against McAfee. Balor seemingly will be facing a Damian Priest, probably in a Damian versus Damian match at this point. That's where I see this going. So neither guy could really take the loss here. So even though WWE does this way too often, it actually makes sense here to have the DQ. So I'm fine with that. Like, it makes sense. Cool. But yeah, it would also make sense to have maybe have McAfee show up. Steven saying they could have had him start playing the feud with Theory. I mean, hey, we can cling to the concept of the brand split. McAfee is a member of the SmackDown roster as a broadcast team, even though Theory showed up there last on Friday night. So I don't know. It's inconsistent. That's what they do. I guess they just wanted to focus on Priest at this point, but I'm sure we'll build up to there on Friday. But yeah, I thought this was fine. McAfee versus Theory. I'm sure it'll be fine. Doesn't really excite me. I guess it's better than the idea of Vince McMahon wrestling, although reportedly he'll still be heavily involved in the match somehow, whatever that means. If you haven't seen it already, go check out Vince McMahon's interview with Pat McAfee, chock full of eye-opening quotes and just the most, I guess, clear picture that that we've gotten of Vince McMahon in many years, and it's probably the only interview he'll really be doing for the foreseeable future. So definitely recommend that. It's a long one, but it's definitely worth it. Or at the very least, look up coverage of it. We ran some pieces from it, some transcripts. So definitely check that out. Steven saying it was great as well. French Nando asking if I would like to see Finn leave WWE. I mean, I could spend another hour on this. There are guys, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, I would even say Sami Zayn. When he was still with the company, Johnny Gargano, and his future now is a little murky. He has a baby. Nobody really knows what he'll be doing. Any number of guys where I would like, in one way, I'm like, yeah, man, leave, go to AEW, be a wrestler, have great matches, do great things, like have freedom to do whatever you want to do. Whereas in WWE, none of that is really happening. But Owens re-signed, and now he's going to do something with Steve Austin at WrestleMania, so that's cool. Sami Zayn re-signed, had a very brief IC title reign. I think he kind of got screwed over on that one. Balor, I'm cautiously optimistic this will be good for him. Do I still think he could be doing great things elsewhere? And not you yourself say he could go to New Japan and take out Jay White. Balor could, or I guess in this case, Steven's saying Prince Devitt could come back, his former pre-WWE alias, and go to AEW. They're doing Bullet Club stuff, kind of. That's something that I think would be awesome. But I think he's still in contact for a while. So barring a catastrophe in terms of another round of releases, I'm sure that he'll be fine and they'll be on Raw, hopefully for the foreseeable future. Cesaro left of his own accord. I hope he goes to AEW and does great things. Folks, I've made no secret. I'm an AEW fan, and I cover these shows for the WWE side of things as it's my job. And I'm also a WWE fan. I like both. Okay. Again, I knock WrestleMania, the WrestleMania card. I criticize things when they're not great. But I'm by no means a WWE hater. Like I'm a fan, and I want to be good. I thought Raw was okay tonight. I thought it was fine. There were things that were bad. Okay, we've reached the grand finale here. That was Raw tonight. The road to WrestleMania continues. Folks, rate the show on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being absolutely atrocious, and 10 being phenomenal. Or stupendous. 10 being 1 being stupendous in terms of how awful that word is. 10 being phenomenal. Nando as always with a 5.9 ducks. DJ with an 8.5. Steven with a 6.5. Brian with a 6.5 as well. Saying that the tag title match and Owens promo was really good. I thought the Owens promo was really good. Again, I just thought it felt a little flat. Of like, if you got the promo and then Austin came out. Steve Austin, great, but just the promo, good promo, but a little flat there for me, especially on the Raw curve. I would say like a 6.7. I'm feeling generous tonight. Like the tag team match was so good. Not by and large, I thought it was fine. All right, like I cannot get too much for Raw, especially 6.7. I'm in a good mood. I'll give it 6.7. Well, maybe a 2.2 of charity there, of just sheer goodwill. But yeah, 6.7. It's fine. Steven pointed out Raw will be in AEW country next week with being in Jacksonville. So there you go, in AEW's hometown there. DJ St. John posted Kevin Owens' funny promo on his Twitter page. Make sure to check that out. I'll see that as well. Kevin Tower is saying want a 9. I think he's saying giving Raw a 9. That's pretty darn good. But hey, as I always say, if you like it that much, I respect you. And like we come together to just talk about it, whether some of us may love it, some of us may not like it at all. And we try to find some common ground, or if not, we just come to talk about it at the very least, just to have a dialogue. That's the goal here at the end of the day. Lastly, I never like to ignore the questions, so I do want to say, Nando asking off topic, but which Ring of Honor star do you want to see debut soon? Want to see them boys, the Briscoes versus FTR? Well, last week, the big story in the wrestling world that Tony Khan, AEW owner, bought Ring of Honor. I've got to do a podcast about this at some point. I'm waiting for more details to come out because I don't want to have a podcast to do about it be obsolete the next week. So once we know more, I'll definitely do a relatively long form podcast to sit down and talk with you all about it, because it's a really big story, especially with Ring of Honor coming back. Supposedly, they're still on for Supercard of Honor in just a couple of weeks on April 1, so that's a big deal. So Ring of Honor being owned by Tony Khan now, supposedly vague rumors, can't confirm them, but that Ring of Honor might be like a developmental, like an NXT for AEW. That's pretty cool. I don't know what to think of it yet. I can't really comment about that. But for the question, do you mean who I want to see debut in AEW or in WWE? I would say in either case, Ring of Honor is wrestling, man. Ring of Honor is wrestling. All right. I'm sorry, it's a wrestling company. So I don't know if I necessarily see a lot of Ring of Honor guys going to WWE. Granted, that was once the case. CM Punk, Dan Bryan, Kevin Owens, El Generico, Sami Zayn. Any number of guys came through Ring of Honor and became big stars in WWE. Now many of them are in AEW. So with the shift being AEW is the wrestling company, WWE is the sports entertainment company, and we've talked about this many times. Now they're wanting to focus on athletes and molding their own wrestling, I guess superstars, not wrestling. That's a whole nother debate, but whatever. So I'll take on the AEW side. I would definitely want to see the Briscoes face FTR. That is the one match that they need to do. They've been feuding with each other since I think December. They FTR attacked them at Final Battle. They've been feuding, and it hasn't happened yet. I feel like it could happen at Supercard if that happens. So, if they still proceed as planned, because Tony Khan owns Ring of Honor now. Otherwise, I'm a big fan of Shane Taylor. If you're not familiar with him, look the man up. He is the best striker in the business, at least for my money. Josh Woods, he's getting some shots on AEW Dark, the last Ring of Honor Pure Champion, ? They have so many talented people, man. I'm a big fan of a lot of people there. Roxy has gotten a WWE tryout, the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, although she lost it to Deonna Purrazzo over Impact. I think she could land with WWE, maybe work her way up in NXT. Worth pointing out, former Ring of Honor host/interviewer Quinn McKay is in WWE. She's on NXT Level Up now, so good for her. I interviewed her last year. Very, very great to speak with her, so that's kind of cool to see her doing great things. Steven Slang, Jay Lethal, and Danhausen, they're both in AEW now, so there you go. Ring of Honor, the legacy lives on, nice and strong. But overall, in the general sense, I'll take it. I want to see them all do great things, right? I'm not trying to pick favorites. I named some people I want to see specifically, but we'll see. Again, supposedly we'll know more in the coming weeks, and once we do, I'll do a solo at least a podcast of some sort about it to kind of really dive in. That's a little bit of a tangent for it, but with that, that's a big story to watch moving forward. And of course, it's the road to WrestleMania. We've got the Raw show. John wasn't here tonight. He was live at the show. We should be back on track as scheduled next week, the two of us. Otherwise, we should be here. Robert and I on Friday. I don't think there's GCW on Friday. Rampage was live. AEW Rampage was live on Friday, and that made things way too complicated, folks. Like, we do our best, but like we got to do news coverage and all, and it was a very, very hectic night on Friday, so we couldn't do, we do our best, folks. Like, please, thank you for your ongoing patience with weeks where we don't do the show. Schedule permitting, we are here. I'm here every Monday. I'm here Fridays with Robert E. Fleece. John and I here on the NXT post show on Tuesdays. Stephen pointing out it is now already Tuesday morning. So I guess NXT Roadblock week tonight, definitely a star-studded show. A big special card for that one. Otherwise, we've got a great stream of interviews coming to you guys, and also all things AW. We talked about them a good amount tonight. Dominic and Marcus cover all things AW on two Dynamite Dudes of Rampage, and also. With more interviews. Bill Pritchard recently interviewed Powerhouse Hobbs. He interviewed Dutch Mantel. He interviewed a plethora of stars. I interviewed Matt Cardona, six belt Matt Cardona, whatever you want to call him. He's doing great stuff. It's very, very cool to see all the things he's doing. That'll be up this week. That's we run 2 pieces from that. We have not published action interview yet. The full thing should be going up this week. So keep an eye out on that one. Very excited for you guys to see that when it goes up. I'll be tweeting it out when it does. All that stuff and more available on our YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud. You know where to find us. All that good stuff for WrestleZone, all in the feed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. We appreciate you all so much. As always, folks, the world remains a terrifying place. It's very scary out there. But we come together here to escape all that, to come together to just to talk about one thing, to do one thing above all others, and that, my friends, is to enjoy wrestling.